Yo, what's going on, y'all? Welcome back to Off the Bench. And right now, I am ecstatic to be joined by the man who put together probably the most charismatic 12-minute opening press conference I've seen, and that is new LSU defensive coordinator Daronte Jones. Coach Jones, thank you so much. I know y'all are very busy. I know you'll start early nowadays. Thank you so much for taking some time with us this Friday morning.
Thank you for having me. You guys have been great.
Okay, Coach. So I'm like, you can probably hear my voice. I'm ecstatic to talk to you, and I have so many different areas where I could start. But let's start here, because this was a long process for LSU, right? And at the beginning of all of this, I don't know if you saw yourself ending up in Baton Rouge. I don't know if LSU saw it. But either way, as it kind of developed, and the more you learn, I start to become really excited. So, what was it like? Like, at what point, how did you feel when this started to become a reality, when you knew that you were going to have an opportunity to be the DC at LSU?
Oh, it was definitely an exciting time. Just, being that I've spent time here in Louisiana, I knew what LSU meant to not only the state of Louisiana. I knew what it meant to SEC football. I knew what it meant to just NCAA football in the country, and I know the impact and the rich tradition here. So I was like, wow, this could be an amazing opportunity to really go back or be a part of a program that we all admired from afar, back when I was at Nicholls State or back when I was at Jeanerette or Franklin High School. So I thought it was a great opportunity. I was fired up about it. I was excited and just wanted to make the best out of it.
Coach, when I was in the NFL, it seemed like assistant coaches or coordinators, they were NFL guys. Like, you're either an NFL coach or you're a college football coach, but it seems like that's changing. Is that because of the scheme, and the scheme is actually really starting to mirror each other?
I think so. It's at one point it was totally different and almost more traditional. But as you can see with the impact of the Baltimore Ravens, with the Arizona Cardinals, and you're seeing those quarterbacks having an influence of offensive football in the NFL, you find a lot of NFL coaches are clinicking with college coaches to, hey, how do you stop this stuff? Because you were starting to see a lot of the same things. And because of that, in times of changing, the game is changing, as we know. Opportunities are coming on both college football and pro football. So now coaches are more open to understanding at the end of the day, it's just football. And they go on to whatever the best opportunity may be for them.
Yeah, and Coach, when you just look at what you've been doing the last years, Coach, at secondary, in the NFL, you've been on those front lines, right? Like at the forefront of kind of defensive theory in an age where the offense, it feels a bit like an offensive game right now. Now the Super Bowl.
It doesn't feel that way.
Okay. I didn't know. Like, I was trying to tiptoe around it, right? Yeah, so we're in an offensive era of football. So how do you still find success defensively within that framework?
I think holding true to the core values. Years ago, holding teams to under 17 points, it was a definite goal. I think, the successful defenses in the country in both NFL and college still do that and keep the points minimum. And at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. It's about keeping points off the board, helping the offense get, great field position by minimizing and winning first downs. The philosophy hasn't changed, I don't think, defensively. When you speak to coordinators around the league or coordinators in the country, just the philosophy and the approach is still the same. It's just it's become tougher, but that's just the way the game is. And you don't see too many two-back fullbacks in the game, downhill run games anymore. And so teams are starting to maximize the width of the field, and you have to defend the entire 53 and a half yards or 100 yards going north to south. So they just force you to defend the entire field.
All right, Coach, so you come in, and obviously you've got new coaches on every level of the defense, D-line, linebacker, secondary. So when you come in personnel-wise, is it almost like, hey, this is a clean slate. We're all going to get together, and we're going to figure out personnel-wise who's best for us, and you don't necessarily look at the tape and just, because you were a starter last year, you're going to get that opportunity now?
No, we all that's part, but that's every year. Coach O has stressed it. We're stressing it. The best players will play. The guys who come to work every day and who's taking advantage of their opportunities that's given, the best players will play. We don't care how old or young they are. We don't care about previous status. So in that regards, it is a clean slate. You know, you have fresh eyes, and I think the guys are excited about that because they have fresh eyes looking at them in all phases of the defense. And so it's an opportunity for people to recreate themselves if they need to.
Coach, one of my we're talking to new LSU defensive coordinator Daronte Jones here on Off the Bench. One of my favorite quotes from the press conference. It was something along the lines of, "We want to be as violent as possible in everything that we do," and that hypes me up because that's kind of how I always viewed approaching the game as well. And I feel like a little bit of that was lost last year, like a little bit of that edge. How do you look to create that edge in your team?
Well, I think you know, the leadership of Coach O has been, I mean, when you step on campus, when you step in the building, you can feel his intensity, right? And it just breathes into the culture of the team. And so it's just, you know, we're aligned in that way. And it starts with just attitude, you know, and your approach and what we demand out of our guys. And at the end of the day, this is a violent sport. I mean, I hate to say that, but football is a violent sport, and you have to approach it that way. It's going to be physical. You have to be very mentally tough, physically tough, emotionally tough. So everything that comes with this sport is about toughness. And so we want to continue to put that into our guys. So when they're approaching this thing, they're approaching it with, I have to win my one-on-one battle. Nothing can get in my way of winning or our success of the defense, our success of this team. And that's just a mindset. And so starting off the break with developing that mindset, building a team cohesive unit where everybody feels like they're interconnected and everything matters, no matter what their role is. And I think just the mindset of Tiger football is going to instill a certain mindset. And when you get a certain mindset and people become relentless, a certain violent nature comes out of that.
Yes, sir.
All right, Coach. So anytime that there's a new defensive coordinator change, everyone wants to know, is he going to be a 4-3? Is he going to be a 3-4 guy? And I try to tell people, nobody really runs like a natural 4-3, an under defense with a Sam linebacker on the line of scrimmage anymore. Yeah. And nobody really lines up in a 3-4. I mean, you have to be so multiple in defenses now trying to stop these offenses. And so what would you kind of call what your scheme is?
Multiple.
Yeah.
No, it's you know, it's like you said, there are going to be times where you're going to have an even front. There's going to be times where you have an odd front. And so because of that, people are going to say it's multiple. But we're going to fit our scheme around the players. You know, like I said, you know, this is the players first, scheme second. You know, whatever our guys do best is what we're going to try to feature. And at the end of the day, 4-3, 3-4, it's just numbers. In the front seven, you still have to have some type of gap integrity,
right?
Unless you're two gapping, but there's still some type of gap integrity in the two gapping. So at the end of the day, it's just numbers. But our goal is just to put guys in the best position that we see fit, that can allow them to execute what we're asking them to execute.
Coach, one of the most exciting things to me, and just learning about kind of your journey through football is when you talk to people. I've read articles written from people. You know, I've talked to all kind of people in your past. It seems like one of the greatest strengths that you have is teaching, right? The ability when somebody doesn't understand something, the ability to communicate that responsibility. And I think on the college level, especially, where there's not just another guy waiting in the wings, like you have to make that roster work. I think that's incredibly valuable. How do you approach trying to communicate that responsibility, trying to teach these kids what their job is within the scheme?
You know, we all learn differently, right? And when I taught high school football, and when I taught in the high schools here in Louisiana at General Redden Franklin High School, you know, you had to be a teacher. And so it wasn't just football. But I learned rather, the importance of lesson planning and how to present the message or the plan or the material to students. I'm not talking about football. I'm just talking about just high school students in general. But how to get the lesson plan so that they can comprehend this is what we're teaching. This is the objective of the day. And you have to do that to where it may be a tactile learning style. It may be, some people are visual. But the lesson plan has to be where it incorporates every student in that class learning style. So something's going to have to be on the board. Something's going to be visual. Something's going to be hands-on. And you have to incorporate all that in that lesson plan, because if not, there's several kids in that classroom that they're not going to learn well that way. And so teaching helped me transition to football and coaching, to whereas some players learn best watching film. Some players learn best in walkthroughs. Some players have to actually do it several times to get it. And so when you're trying to figure out, or you're trying to install a defense, you want to try to make sure you incorporate every type of learning style. So we always, what we say, we say you want to teach it to them. You want to tell it to them. You want to work it. You want to rep it, and then repeat what you just told them. So you keep emphasizing it. And so at some point in time, you would have hit one of those students' learning styles. And I learned that through teaching, to be honest with you.
Damn.
Coach, I was going to ask you, I
love that.
If you were excited to go against the great receivers every single day that LSU has, and then it popped up to me. Last year, he was going against Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen every day in practice. How was that going against Jets every day in practice?
That guy is an amazing athlete. First of all, outside of football, he's just an amazing person.
He is.
He always has a smile on his face. He came to work every day. He was a true professional, and that just shows me that the preparation he got here when he was a student at LSU, in terms of, hey, they have prepared him for life after college. They have prepared him for the professional football game. And so he approached it like a professional. I mean, you would have thought he was a vet the way he came out to practice early. He prepared his body. He was walking through his steps. He was doing extra after meetings with meeting with our receivers coach. I mean, that kid was a true professional as a rookie, and his success was a result of that. And so that's a testament to LSU. That's a testament to how they have helped kids get prepared for the next level. But Jets, oh man, he was special. You knew early on when his ability, the way he can come in and out of breaks, he can drop his body weight, he can catch the ball over his left shoulder, right shoulder, great hands. He can make the contested catch, good body contact and control and contact balance. I mean, that he was special, and then he could run. But then he was humble. With it, and that's what you get, and you love that about him. And so our guys was, we knew all early on what he was going to be, and not to that point, I'm gonna be honest with you, but we knew he was going to be special at some point in time. But it just created competitive nature, competitive challenge. Guys wanted to work at it. We had a young group as well, and so we just try to get each other better.
Coach, last one here real quick. So back in the 2007 Bowie State Media Guide, there is a 28-year-old defensive coordinator named Daronte Jones. He has the number one defense in the country. His 2008 now, or 2007, and he has the game-changing chain around his neck. You are a full decade ahead of the game with the turnover chain, Coach. Congrats.
I wouldn't say a decade, but no, it was just again trying to find ways to motivate players. That's what we're in a relationship business. We're trying to motivate young players to go out and lay it on the line every day. And the guys, they loved it. They enjoyed it. It was something where whoever won that chain for the week, because their performance would have that chain the entire week. And so you would see these guys bringing that chain to practice that week. When you did classroom checks, they would be carrying the chain with them in classroom checks,
Yep.
And it was one of those things where guys like, man, I want to wear that chain. And then when we came, got ready for the next opponent, the Friday before that game, whoever had that chain would bring it back, and his name would go on the chain. It was a lock there. I don't know if you saw the lock.
Yeah.
We would write his name or whoever that name would be on the chain, on the lock. And then at the end of the season, whoever had the most names, whoever had the chain the most would, we bought him a new chain, a nice new one, and kind of fancied it up. And then they would have that for the year. It would be theirs.
I love it, Coach. And again, I know y'all are super busy, so I can't thank you enough for waking up with us on this Friday. New LSU defensive coordinator Daronte Jones. Coach Jones, thank you so much, man.
No, thank you for having me, and you all have a wonderful day.
Yes,
Be
sir.
safe out there.
Yes, sir. Stay safe, you as well. Whew. Boy, I think we got ourselves a DC. We'll close out hour number 1 next.